general nature thereof. Seeing none, we'll move down to item 3.1 for matters which the special meeting was called, which is the presentation of the draft 2021 operating and capital budget. Mr. CAO, please.
So before you today is the draft 2021 budget. Our initial review of the budget commenced on March the 2nd. We've discussed this budget. Staff have provided clarification and received feedback from council, and we have fielded 71 questions to date on the budget. So we certainly appreciate council's input and contributions to this draft budget. We believe it to be a sound budget, given the challenges and circumstances we faced in 2020 and continue to face here in 2021. And please, at any time, if you have a question, feel free to ask. So, as mentioned, there's some challenges when developing the budget, and of course there will be, like any year, there will be challenges for the municipality in general. But so some of the challenges are the continued impacts of COVID-19, revenue losses and cost increases associated to that. Like easy examples are like the rec center and the Goshen Arena, where they sat vacant, especially for months, with the ice and plant run. A significant increase in insurance premiums. So a lot of municipalities have seen this. We're slightly above average, but the net impact is an increase in premiums of $126,000. There's a continued demand for us. Many other small municipalities that demand to do more with less, and I think we've done a really good job with that. Shared services agreements, merging jobs, and again, we have less people, but we have those people, very valuable employees doing more. And the most recent example is bylaw and CBO are combined, and then once our current bylaw officer has her credentials, should be a full-time CBO. So got an arrangement with our former CBO that it's just a great opportunity. So that's an opportunity. So waste disposal, transportation costs, your falls contract, recycling. We all know that recycling is it's not cheap, but it's our environmental and social responsibility to recycle. We've had wastewater contract increases with our operating authority, increases with the library, a more significant increase from a requisition standpoint with Heritage Center. Understandable. It's like a new startup here since the roof had blown off. So looking forward to the Heritage Center being open. Evacuation costs, that's $561,000. We have applied to the Municipal Disaster Recovery Fund, hoping we will get most, if not all, of that back. No indications of what we will get back. So that is something we will continue to pressure government on, and hopefully it will be good news sometime in the near future. Reach. It's a challenge and an opportunity, and I'll mention the opportunities, but it's with COVID and everything related to that, projects like this seem to be put on the back burner, but we will continue to do our best to make that or enable that to be a reality at some point. So that from a political climate and funding standpoint is a challenge at this time. OMPF fund, that's decreased by $74,000, and in fact, since 2012, we've lost $1,263,000 in OMPF fund. That is big dollars for a small municipality. Land ownership, the the municipality, so within our municipality, there's almost 63,000 hectares that's vacant land. The municipality owns 2,136 hectares of that 62,000. So right around 3%. The Crown owns 77. Mine claims are, just around 19%. So that's a challenge. We just don't have property to develop, but we're working on that. So another challenge, opportunity. Camps and transit workers, again, continues to pose a challenge. But we'll work with our mining partners to look at solutions that help contribute to this sustainable future of Red Lake. And organic growth. We have the same ratepayers paying a little bit more, but it'd be nice to have more paying into the pot. So we'll continue to work towards that. So 2021 opportunities, the completion of the ISEP project, so that's a significant project occurring in Red Lake. Our public works employees are working hard on that right now, doing asphalt preparation. It's going to be a very busy construction year, and the goal is to have that fully completed come fall. Enhance outdoor activities. A dog park has been identified that contributes to the wellness of our community. There'll be upgrades to the Dan Kuchar Field. It looks like we'll be constructing an entrance sign. Part of that is a generous donation from a local individual or family, I should say. And again, just improvements to the Phil Thomas Bennett Centennial Park. Spoke of Crown Land Development, that organic growth. There is an opportunity. We have engaged the MNRF, and we will continue to push that issue because it is very important. And Council has identified 3 areas in which we will pursue with the MNRF. And the Mayor and Council has certainly made Minister Yakubuski of MNRF aware of some of our challenges there. The Norseman Inn, we recently sold that to the Kenora District Services Board. The opportunity there is, of course, today, because of COVID, it's being utilized as an isolation center. But that will be dedicated seniors housing at some point, hopefully in the near future. Community Safety Wellbeing Plan, partnership with the Falls, led by our clerk here from a staff perspective, Christine Goulet. This is just something that's will go towards the well-being of our community, and it's just a good example of solid collaboration and partnerships within the services, different organizations within our community. Opportunities to address vacant buildings and derelict buildings. So Council is committed to addressing a few of those this year. So that will be important improvements. We have a ways to go. We can't do them all at once, but if we can each year tackle 1 or 2, we'll be headed in the right direction. The REACH, again, is a great opportunity from a regional perspective. It kind of goes hand in hand with our sustainable future, whereas we believe that there will be a road from Sandy Lake coming to Red Lake, and we'll have 10 to 15,000 visitors, which would be very exciting. Airport runway, cargo terminal expansion. We are working with Evolution on acquiring more property around the airport because there's more of a demand today for terminal space, cargo terminal space. We are actually working with, we have 1 vacant lot left, and we're working with a company right now to get them established there. So we're working hand in hand with the Thunder Bay Airport Authority, who is our operating authority at the airport. Partnership enhancement with governments, Shared Spirits, which is the Wabascane and Lime Sewell, the mining companies. We need to continue to work on those partnerships. Very key. Even if it's the partnership shared services with the Falls, Drive, opportunities with the Kanchka. I think there's many opportunities for Red Lake. I will just go back to the REACH. Part of that REACH is doing analysis on the Kosher Arena and looking at standardizing that. What would it cost to standardize this facility? Bigger ring size, appropriate dressing rooms, just the functioning aspect of the arena we'll be looking at this year. Long-term waste management strategy, council recently approved that where, because of the municipal modernization fund, we're applying for that. We'll look at our existing, our existing operations from a recycling waste management perspective, and that could be also the fridges, the steel, different things, e-waste. So that is something we're looking for funding on, and that will also look at the future and potential partnerships for our vision for a long-term waste management. Truth and Reconciliation Committee, that will be, there's been individuals identified and contacted. We're hoping a first meeting will come soon. And an additional paving and patching. So in addition to the ISIP, we'll be doing, there's $200,000 allocated to paving and patching. 137,000 of that is committed to last year's projects that were identified and approved by council that didn't get done for a number of different reasons. Evacuation played into it, weather, contractors, rooms, a lot of different things. So there will be 63,000 that at some point, perhaps in April, we can sit down and go through a list that will be provided by our infrastructure development coordinator. So lots of opportunities here for us in Red Lake, in our region as a whole. So the operating budget, the requirements, the need is $15,714,717.08. This is down from 2020. And the main part to that is daycare. We're not in the daycare business anymore, and the daycare budget was around $1.7 million. So that's the significant change. So the budget decrease is actually almost 1.5 million. So there was the daycare come off, then there's the insurance, those other things that we have spoken of that were added on. So that's, the math doesn't add up because of the 1.7 with daycare. There's other factors that apply. Insurance costs, $126,000. So capital investments, we're looking to invest just over $8 million this year in the community. So where's the money coming from? Grants, $5,744,000. Dedicated reserves of $273,576. Deferred revenue, and that's from OSIP, funding that we have, the formula base. That is $665,950. And the long-term debt proceeds that we'll be looking to borrow is $1,340,518. So, in summary, this budget represents a 2.5 increase to the ratepayers. An average home in Red Lake, valued at $190,525, so that's the impact assessment, paid $2,827 in 2020. That same home in 2021 will pay $2,898. So that's an increase of $71 property taxation. And that money, that includes the education portion as well. So that $2,898. So $71 annually for the average home assessed by impact. That's $17.76 every 3 months, or it's $5.92 monthly. Just to break it down. So we will continue to pay down our long-term debt commitments by nearly $1.3 million in 2021. We will pay down based on this budget, and anything that doesn't include on things that we don't know that could happen, right? Anything unforeseen. That by the end of 2021, so from 2019 to 2021, we would pay down our long-term debt by $3,763,876. This council made a commitment of paying down debt of $1 million per year over your 4-year term, while you're well ahead of the game. So I think everyone should be committed for that commitment. Have a ways to go yet. With that goal being 4, we'll get there and more. I truly believe. So our long-term debt at the end of 2021 will be $16,870,827. Reserves remain steady at $7,680,282. So we will continue to pursue new and meaningful partnerships, which is important. We will work towards enhancing our existing partnerships, equally as important. We will continue to make key capital investments that contribute to our sustainable growth and well-being. I will open it up now to any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. I'll just make a couple of comments. Thank you very much for a fantastic but yet brief description of everything, and council's had the opportunity to go over everything. And as you mentioned earlier, you fielded a number of questions from council. So thank you very much for your participation in that. Just of note, just by listening to your description of our operation and everything we are moving forward and trying to secure for our future, you just think the ISIP project, Crown Land initiatives, we went through Red 49, we're presently going through COVID-19. We've done a lot of great work, and we've stayed committed to paying down our debt as well too from day one. So it's very commendable of council and staff to work towards those goals. I'd also just like to thank you, Mr. CAO, and our treasurer and staff for all the work they've put into this budget. I know it's a lot of hours and a lot of time, a lot of dedication spent towards that. So thank you very much. So I'll open the floor up to council if there's any questions for the budget at all. Councilor Purdue?
Yeah, you guys did a great job, especially with the year we had last year and everything. I just would like to make sure I got the proper explanation I had for what is the benefit, or why is it better to increase the tax 2.5 for that extra 240,000 ballpark, other than taking that off, paying down the long-term debt? You give me an answer, I just don't want to mess it up because I didn't write it down.
Yeah, and our treasurer can chime in as well, but there's a certain amount of money we need to operate. And this year being unique in many ways. We've looked at every piece possible. We do that normally, but this year more unique to find ways to cut. But so it's that balance of spending less, but still advancing our community. So we don't want to. We've got a commitment to pay down debt. So we've got arrangements with different financial institutions. So we're committed to paying down that debt. So we don't want to borrow money, so we have a 0%, because we're pushing back that liability that problem to later years. So we don't borrow money to go into operating, it's not good practice.
And we're paying down debt on capital purchases over, like we borrow every year, either short-term, medium-term, or long-term, right? So to fund operating would be essentially a year. So you'd have to borrow and then pay it off within the year. Anyway, right? For it to truly make sense to borrow the way we're supposed to borrow, right? That's our borrowing bylaws for long-term items. It's not the way to do business. It's not in the best interest of our ratepayer. I know nobody wants to see their taxes increased, obviously, but that's impossible, especially in the face of everything going on right now. But we strictly fund, the only thing we fund with debt is capital, and that would be an operating cost, right? Or you cut services, which is a challenge in a municipality of this size with so many communities.
No, thanks, I just wondered. I thought I had it in front. I just wanted to make sure
Well, good
I heard
question.
what I was hearing.
It's a, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, but that's what,
No,
it
it's
does
good.
make sense.
Good question, Councillor Baduk, and realizing when our CIO went through a number of the projects, and that's in all of the projects, but we also have limited staff that we work with too, right? So if we're looking to hire, that means, we've got to find another 80,000, 70,000, whatever that salary base is. So we're doing more with the same amount of staff, and we're advancing this community, and I'm excited for the future. I really am. But we've truly faced some difficult times, again with COVID-19 during the past year, and we're at 49, still trying to get our dollars back from that. It's challenging working with the government, but we do have good relationships, and they do listen. So we're hopeful things are going to go Red Lake's way. Any other questions, comments?
It's more of a comment, just with regards to what you were talking about too, so that we're barely keeping up with the cost of living, like the dollar and the inflation and what we can buy for that dollar, it's much less. So I think that's why it's also really necessary.
So,
We have the money.
and if you think about it, with an impact assessment of close to 200,000, but the high 190s, the monthly tax increase is just less than $6 per month. That's not a lot of money. I know in some families it is, but in the general aspect of things, for the operation of the municipality and the cuts that we've received, as the CAO alluded to earlier, we need to find those dollars, and we can't borrow for operation. It makes that difficult. So the last thing we want to do is tax increases, but we're facing no choice in this today. But staff, again, work diligently, tried to keep the number as low as possible, and this is what they came up with for us to have an operation without any cuts to service for our communities.
Can I just make one point, please? This is, for me, I believe it's the budget. This was the most challenging one. Where we started and ended up balancing. Yes, we'd always like to keep the increase as low as possible, but worked hard to get to that 2.5. But the deficit, which started at roughly just over 450,000, to get it to this point, I think was great. I want to commend Rochelle, our treasurer, on the hard work she did on this budget.
And the other thing to think of is we're continuing to pay down our debt. So we're going to be at almost $3.7 million of debt retirement since 2018, where this council committed to do that. We're continuing to do that even through this budget. So that's a win-win for everybody to get that debt down as well too. So I think we're doing a fabulous job here as a council and staff. Okay, so seeing no further questions or comments?
Well, I was just kind of like what Councillor Hager and Councillor Baduk was saying. I just want to commend the staff for sure for all the hard work that they put into this. And it's a really good budget. You guys did a really good job. And taxes, you have to pay them, and keep it down as low as you did with the cuts and everything. You guys have done a really good job on that. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the future as well. I think we've got a lot of opportunities that we can work on this year, and I think will help well-being in the community for sure. So for sure.
Thank you, Councilor Christoph. Councilor Good.
Good one. I announced, I brought up, a few people have talked to me about that, attachment for the grader, like Ignis got. They quoted on CKDR was a $15,000. I don't really think it was 15, but did you guys get a price on what that would cost?
We did, so it's to be 21,000 per unit. So we have 2 graders. Ignis, a little bit different than Red Lake, right? We're a bit more spread out and a few more streets. So our operation, infrastructure development coordinator has looked into it. We will research it more, but based on his analysis, it would take us longer to do the streets. Because the process now, because we have that big blade, we can go down a street, we can go down McManus, 1, 2, we're out, except for the intersection parts, which takes some maneuvering. So having that blade, they would essentially would have to do a minimum 1 more trip with that grader. So what would take a normal 8 to 12 hours to do all the grader work, you're now tapping on at least another day. And that day pushes back, like for instance on Main Street here, on 5th, it pushes back the snow removal 1 more day as well. So we have looked into it. We're just from a time perspective, it could slow down what we believe is a pretty exceptional public works winter plowing group. But we can bring it forward again, and we can provide more detail, like an analysis on what that time looks like.
Yeah, I think it'd be too rushed to try and do it for this, but we should explore it for next year.
Sure. So, if I may, we'll bring something back in more detail at a later council meeting for your information and I guess consideration.
And as the CAO previously mentioned, we had $200,000 for work to be done, but 137, I believe, of that was already allocated from last year's work that did not get completed because of weather and other agenda items that occurred. So that work will be completed this year, so there'll be an extra $63,000 for council's discretionary use, but we can just speak about that when that time comes forward and make a decision on where to allocate those dollars. That's good with everyone. Okay, any further comments? No? Okay. And again, thank you to staff and Ms. Gagne. It's her last special meeting with the municipality as she's advancing forward to a different province. And again, thank you so much for your dedication to the municipality of Red Lake and all the work that you've done. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Hager, seconded by Councillor Christoph. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation and Municipality of Red Lake hereby adjourns this special meeting at 5:30 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.